Hey y'all, DB here. Welcome to episode 1 of my Pokemon Origins Fire Red playthrough. So what do I mean when I say a Pokemon Origins playthrough? So basically we're going to be playing as if we were Red from the Pokemon Origins anime. We're going to try and along the way get the final 6 team that he beat the Elite Four with. So that means that we're going to try to wind up with a Charizard, a Persian, a Jolteon, a Lapras, a Scyther, and a Dodrio. Anybody that we get that will be on the final 6 team will always get a nickname, whether it is our first Pokemon that we get from Professor Oak, whether they're caught in the wild or obtained through any other measures. They will always get a nickname so that as you're watching along, you always know who will be one of the final 6 pretty easily. As we're going, we can catch any Pokemon that we want to. It's not a nuzlocke challenge, so we can catch anybody that we want. We're not limited to just one Pokemon per route or per new area. These Pokemon will not get any nicknames. We might use them as we play, we might not. It just depends on kind of who they are and where we are at that point in the game. We might need a little bit of help and some typing, and we might not, and send them straight to the box. It really just all depends on who we run into and what's going on as we run into them. More or less, we're just having a little bit of fun, taking the anime that was made to go with the game and playing the game that it was more or less made to go with. Fun little storyline playthrough that I think will be enjoyable to keep up with. So of course we start off on a new game just like we would for any other playthrough. This is Professor Oak. He is our Pokemon professor for this particular region, our first Pokemon professor that we ever run into in Pokemon. He explains a little bit about what goes on. I assume if you're watching this you probably know how the game works, but just in case. Pokemon are little pocket monsters from the Japanese, if I remember that correctly. And more or less they're little animals that live in this area. And you can catch them, you can train them, you can battle other people with them, and basically just have a good old time. It's a nice little RPG, and I've enjoyed playing since it first came out when I was a kid. So, as I said, in this particular run-through though, we are acting as if we are the Pokemon Origins anime. So our character is going to be Red, and Oak's grandson, who you might know as Gary from the original anime, he is going to be called Blue for this one, because that's what he was called in the show. So it's time to get small. We are in Pallet Town for the first time. First thing we're going to do, go to our PC and go get the free potion that's already just sitting in there. Might as well save a little bit of money and have some medicine. Also, check out our cool decorations that we've got for our room. I know as a kid I always had instructional posters on my wall for how to play particular video games. Checking with Mom, she tells us to go see Oak. So we head off to go find him, but the tall grass is dangerous, so we can't go that way. We meet Oak for the first time as he saves us from ourselves, more or less, takes us to his lab where the grandson, Blue, is already waiting on us. This is the point where we're going to choose our starter Pokemon. And obviously, since we are going to be winding up with a Charizard on our final team, that means we need to start off with a Charmander. So once we get that option here in just a little bit, once we get through this dialogue, we'll be going for the Fire-type Charmander. Speaking of Charmander, here is ours. Cute little thing, as always. All the starters are just adorable. But we are going to name him Candle for a couple of reasons. One, I think he's going to be a real good worker for us, and so he's going to be burning the candle at both ends. And two, I think it's going to be funny to have a massive Charizard called Candle. Blue is a little punk. He chooses the Squirtle because he knows if he gets the type advantage, that's the only opportunity that he's ever going to have to beat me. And speaking of which, he challenges us to our first battle right off the bat. So we just got everything, so Oak's going to give us a little bit of instructions here on how to do Pokemon battles. This first battle is a lot less nuanced than some might be later on in the game, because basically you're just going all out offense right now. At least that's what I plan on doing. Tail whips and growls and things like that really don't have as much of an effect in this early battle. So, like I said, we go all offense. We come out scratching. He comes out trying to do the tail whip and take our defense down, which obviously it does, but this battle isn't going to last long enough for that to actually make a difference. And it's not like he's got another Pokemon coming up after this that I would need to worry about the defense for as well. So we just go straight offense and just scratch him right in his face. Get our first level to start off with, which is exciting to go ahead and just do one battle, 1.5 levels really. And really show Blue who is the best new trainer from Pallet Town. Alright, now it is time for us to head out into the wild for the first time. We check in with Mom, get a good heal going since there's no Poke Centers in town. Run into this little girl who tells us basically how to open the start menu, but we are heading north. We don't care about that right now. We run into a few Pidgeys, and, well, just the one really, and knock him out on the way. Heading up to the market to get Oak's parcel to take back down to him. On the way back down, there's the other Pidgeys that we run into, but same problem. Well, sorry, same deal, no problem. Candle just scratches his way right through the birds, and it's really not any deal at all. It was exciting though once we got to level 7 because we got Ember and we are able to burn our way through the birds now. So kind of worse off for them, but you know, it works out for us. Already Oak sees the talent that is inside of us. I'm glad he notices it because I've known it's there for a long time. We give him this parcel. Blue shows back up, and of course he's a little punk as always, comes in already screaming. I don't know what his problem is, but we're going to get our Pokedex, which is very exciting because that means that now we can categorize all the Pokemon that we see and catch and get their biographies and fun things like that. We also get our first clutch of Pokeballs, which is exciting because that means that the next time we go into the grass, we don't have to just knock out all the Pidgeys that we come into. We can actually catch one and start to add into our roster. After Oak tells us that he basically wants to live vicariously through the children of his town, he tells us to head on off. Blue doesn't want us to get a town map, but the very first thing that we're going to do as soon as he walks away is go get the town map. After that, we run home like usual when we were in town. Go see your mama, talk to your mom, say hey, but also go get healed up so that as you're heading into the long grass, you can take on these Pidgeys. Like I said, for the first time, we don't have to just knock them out. We have another option, so we catch this one and have our first wild-caught Pokemon in the game. No nickname, because he will not be part of the final 6, so he will just be put into the box at some point, along with this Rattata. So we're going to go heal at the Poke Center because the very next thing that we're going to want to do is go into this patch of grass over to the west because we need to find ourselves a Mankey because we're going to need a little bit of help with our first gym battle that we've got coming up in Vermilion City. So we skipped on to level 2. You can find up to level 5 in this grass, I believe, but I was just anxious to get going with it. So I went ahead and saw this level 3 pop up, got a couple good scratches in on him, and added him to the team as well. 1 shake, 2 shake, 3 shake. We are going to be using this Mankey quite a bit during this run through, but since it is not a final 6, it won't get a nickname even though it's getting used. So at this point, the next step that we had is to get ready for the second rival battle that we have in this first episode here, and we need to do some grinding to get everybody, and by everybody I mean Candle and Mankey, up to a level 10 so that we're strong enough to face him. So you get this super fun grind coming up here. We drop off the Pidgey and the Rattata into the box the next time that we go to the Pokemon Center, And then we just hop down, just keep cycling between the Pokemon Center and the grass, the Pokemon Center and the grass, just grinding away to get everybody where we need to be. Alright, finally that's enough of that, and we can head west to go run into Blue again, see what he's been off to. Apparently he went to go see if he can get into the Pokemon League and got rejected since he had no badges. So he's upset and wants to fight us. So he comes out with a fairly strong level 9 Pidgey. I didn't think to put Candle in the front like I should have, but it's okay because we should still be strong enough to get through this without him getting too messed up. That first critical hit tackle did not do us any favors. However, that burn on our second Ember did, because that means we won't have to go for a third attack at all. Go ahead and take the Pidgey out, split the experience points between both Candle and Mankey, which isn't a bad thing. Squirtle coming out already knows its first special water type move. I believe it is Bubble at level 7, just like we learned Ember. So I'm going to go ahead and swap out for the Mankey here so that we don't have the type disadvantage. I go for the low kick, kind of forgetting honestly that move tears up with the size of the Pokemon itself, and so with Squirtle still being relatively small, it doesn't do as much damage as I wanted, so we swapped over to the Scratch. That still got the job done and only lost about half of our health as we were doing it. So we go ahead and get through, show him once again, for the second time in probably less than a day game-wise, who the best player in Pallet Town is. He is not wrong though, we do need to get a move on. So we head down to the Pokemon Center to get ourselves healed. We check out a little bit of Viridian City some, go see that the gym is still closed, things like that that'll come in handy later on in the game but don't really affect us too much right now. We also stock up, we get some Pokeballs, some potions, and some antidotes. The old man here stops us to show us how to catch Pokemon as if we haven't done that multiple times already, but everyone needs a hobby, so you know, you do you, old man. On the way up to Viridian Forest, before we can even step foot into the forest, we run into a Weedle who immediately poisons our Mankey, but we're able to catch him and add him to the group there, and go back down to the Pokemon Center for the heal instead of wasting one of the antidotes that we just bought, because might as well save the 200 bucks. Pretty quick into the forest, we run into a Caterpie and can add them to the group as well, which is nice. That means that we basically have all of our catching out of the way and can focus solely on just the trainer battles. All of the trainer battles in here are bug catchers. They're all going to have Weedles, Caterpies, and their evolved forms up to second level, really just the Kakuna and the Metapod. The main thing that you need to watch out for in here are the Weedles, especially with this Mankey. He seems to be really prone to getting actually poisoned whenever they hit him with the poison sting. Swap out Candle and Mankey here some interchangeably to try and split the experience that you get from all these trainers in the forest between the two of them, because we're going to need both of them to be, you know, fairly high level as we go up into our gym battles. The Metapods and the Kakunas, if you've never played before, are just annoying more than anything. They have no offense at all, but they can just up their defense every single time. But we get through all the bug catchers without really too much problem. Get a couple of poisons here and there on the Mankey, of course. But we have worked our way through the forest. This last bug catcher here, bug catcher Sammy, comes at us with a surprisingly strong Weedle coming out at the level 9. So Mankey goes out, gets a scratch, not a bad first hit, but of course he gets poisoned with the first poison sting that he takes. So we're gonna see if we can't hold out here and still get the victory for him. Thankfully we do, and we don't have to take the damage from the poison for the third time, which would have finished off the knockout there for Mankey. But good lord, he does not like poison at all, does he? But that got us through the Viridian Forest. We got through without any knockouts, everyone's still doing relatively okay, and we made our way up to Vermilion City, where in the next episode we're going to go against our first gym, see if we can't get the Boulder badge from Brock. We've got one of our final 6 right now, and one team member that's going to be around with us for a while, but isn't a final 6, so he's just a temporary. But if you like what you saw, please hit the like button, subscribe if you want to keep up with the series, and we will see you next time.